Hello and welcome back to the Pokemon Lab. Today we're going to tackle Zapdos. I haven't done Articuno yet. I ended up going on a short trip with the wife, so I've been gone from Thursday till Saturday. I didn't have time to do Articuno. I assume Articuno will probably be fun, be like a good run. I've done Moltres and I've done Zapdos, and out of those two, Zapdos was by far the better one, the more interesting one. So today we're gonna do Zapdos. I'm very excited for this one because boy oh boy, I know I say that a lot, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm boring, so I have the same phrases. Anyways, man, Zapdos blew my expectations out of the water. I really was not expecting any of the legendary birds to really do as well as Zapdos did, but I won't say any more. I'll let the video speak for itself. So we'll just go ahead and get into the rules. So rule number 1, I'm only using Zapdos for the entire run. I'm not allowed to use any other Pokemon. Number 2, no random encounters and no optional trainers other than to get TMs that are locked behind trainers. That's just to keep it consistent. I want to make sure that each Pokemon, no matter who I'm using, gets the same stat experience in the game. And eventually when EVs become a thing, that's to keep the EVs the same as well. If I fight a bunch of random trainers, then the EVs will be different for each Pokemon, which can throw off the results, right? So same Pokemon fighting every single time, try to. Obviously I'll have onesies and twosies that are different, but I mean 1 or 2 stat experience isn't really gonna throw anything off that bad. Rule number 3, I've hacked in rare candies, full restores, master balls to catch the HM Pokemon, max elixirs, and max repels. The elixirs and full restores are for healing, max repels are to not fight random encounters, and then rare candies go into rule number 4, which is if I lose, I use a rare candy to level 1 time, depending on how I feel about the fight, and then I'll try again. This is probably going to be the most variable thing in the whole experiment, differing on like which Pokemon I'm using and how I'm feeling about their specific fights. Later on in this run, there's a spot where I lose a bunch. Not a bunch, but I lose several times in a row, and I don't use a rare candy because I feel like Zapdos could do it at that level. And I just kept getting spectacularly bad luck on my part, so I just kept it the same and let Zapdos retry until Zapdos eventually ended up winning in what I felt like was a more fair luck-wise fight. But anyways, rule number 5, no bicycle, just walking everywhere to keep the time consistent as possible. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 6, the only items that I'm picking up off the ground are TMs. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the run. So obviously we start with the rival fight in Oak's Lab. There really wasn't a good matchup. I could have picked Charmander, which would have been kind of hard. I mean, not hard, but would have been tough for Zapdos early on until it evolves into Charizard eventually, and then it becomes easy because Charizard's part flying and Zapdos has electricity. So I mean, Zapdos' electricity is super effective to Charizard and Blastoise. His Drill Peck is super effective to Bulbasaur. There's really not a bad matchup starter-wise for Zapdos, so I just picked Bulbasaur, because why not? And then we get to Brock. Obviously, Brock is a sticking point. There are going to be a couple sticking points for Zapdos. Brock is one of them. I mean, it makes sense. The only moves that I've got right now are Thunder Shock, or is it Thunderbolt? Yeah, no, it's Thunder Shock. So Thunder Shock, which we all know does nothing, doesn't hurt Geodude or Onix at all, period. And Drill Peck, which is a flying type move, which is resisted by a rock type because rock is super effective to flying. So Drill Peck doesn't do a whole lot of damage either. It's kind of like Tackle, same boat. It's got a way higher base power, so it does a little bit more damage in the long run than Tackle would, because Tackle is 40 base power and Drill Peck is 80, so it's technically double the power. But at level 10, level 9, level 7, whatever level I'm at for Zapdos, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. So obviously we have to use a bunch of rare candy right here at the very beginning just to get past Geodude and Onix. But something that Zapdos does have going for it over some of the other Pokemon that we have seen and some that we will see is, oddly enough, Thundershock not doing anything. So all I have to do basically is get faster than Onix. If I'm faster than Onix, then when he goes Bide, I use Thundershock, which does nothing, cancels out the Bide. And that's pretty much the strategy. So basically just waiting until I can outspeed Onix, and then use that strategy to win. For whatever reason, Onyx uses Bide more often than not. He's either got Bide, Tackle, or Screech. He uses Screech occasionally, but it's usually just Tackle and Bide. But he tends to go for Bide more than Tackle, so... If I just bait out the Bide, use my Thundershock like I am right here, Drill Peck, he uses Bide again, but he's so low I can just kill him before he gets it off. And then I win, level 12. So 6 rare candies right off the bat. Doesn't sound very good for Zapdos, and I agree, you know, kind of not the greatest, but just watch now. Now that we're past that initial little hurdle, Zapdos is a monster, like an absolute monster. And there's really nothing standing in his way save for one trainer. One single trainer in the entire game that gives him trouble. Because, I mean, what are you going to do against him? He's got a really good physical move. He's got a really good special move with, I mean, obviously Thundershock, but all we have to do is get past Surge and we get Thunderbolt. And then that's 90, 95 base power, one of those two. Stab move that's super effective to like 2/3 of the entire Pokedex. Because the same reasoning as to why Charizard wasn't very good is the same reason that Zapdos is really good, in that there's a lot of water type Pokemon in the original 151, which is a super effective type for Zapdos. He's just very strong against water. He's very strong against flying, which there's not a lot of like individual flying type Pokemon, but there are a ton of trainers that use Pidgey or Spearow or, you know, Pidgeotto and all that. So there's a lot of opportunity for that. And then obviously Gyarados is one of the strongest Pokemon that like the later trainers and gym leaders in Elite Four people will all use Gyarados, because obviously it's a super strong Pokemon, but it's 4 times weak to Zapdos. So he just plows through. We struggled there just a little bit with Giovanni. We'll struggle with him a little bit more coming up, but that first one wasn't too bad. But I mean, even there, like, we got pretty low. But then obviously Erica just 3 drill pecks, done. Moving on. Now we're on the Pokemon Tower rival fight. Pidgeotto, done. Gyarados, done. Nothing stands in his way. Growlithe had taken a drill peck. Kadabra's not taking a drill peck. It's very weak. And then Ivysaur, super effective. Boom, done. Bye-bye. Next. Koga. I didn't know what to think about Koga, but I think his Pokemon aren't super strong special-wise. So, just a couple Thunderbolts, take him down. And I did get poisoned by the Muck, so I got poisoned pretty early on, which you think would be a bad thing. And I was kind of worried about the Weezing using self-destruct, but I ended up getting that crit, and just he never got in the range to where he wants to use self-destruct. So yeah, super easy. And then again, same. The rival is just the same old story every time. I'm just super effective to half of his Pokemon, and then the other half don't really have the defense to fight off a Drill Peck from a stab flying type that's really strong. I had to think about whether Nidorino was ground type or not. Whether I use Thunderbolt or Drill Peck there. But yeah, you see, this is kind of where it was kind of turning into a bit of a show for Giovanni here. He just, obviously he's ground type. Ground type's, you know, a weak type or a strong type to Zapdos. So it just takes some time. I can't hit him with my most effective special move, so I have to hit him with a physical move, which ground type Pokemon are usually also kind of like part rock or strong defensively, at least. They don't really, drill pecks don't really work, but yeah, I mean, like Alakazam, great special, not great defense. That drill peck runs right through him. Same with Blaine. Like, these Pokemon are fast. They've got good moves. Like, takedown would have been good, but at the end of the day, just that stab Thunderbolt, it's a lot of power. Here's our first real struggle moment, pretty much since Brock. And it's another rocky ground type gym leader, which makes sense. Just gotta deal with several really bulky, defensively bulky Pokemon. And even then, first try, he gets to the last one, but I mean, Rhydon is part rock, so not only can I not use Thunderbolt on him, but Drill Peck is not very effective too. So it just, he doesn't, by the time I get to Rhydon, his other Pokemon have kind of whittled me down enough that Rhydon could just take me out. And so we have to kind of do this little song and dance here a little bit. But I mean, like, even Nidoking, you see how much damage that Drill Peck is doing to the Nidoking? It's pretty crazy. You would expect the Nidoking to live a lot longer than that, but at the end of the day, it's really just that Rhydon. If I could get through that Rhydon as fast as I was getting through the others, probably wouldn't even be that big a deal. If there's anywhere for Zapdos to struggle, it's right here. And so we have to deal with, you have to use quite a few rare candies to get through this. But I say quite a few, but it's really not that many. It was at this point that I looked back through the timeline to see how many rare candies I actually used, and then spent the next 2 minutes fumbling, trying to figure out how many rare candies I had actually used. So I'd used 6 for Brock, and then so far I've used 3 more. So we're on 3 right now. That puts us at level 45. Doesn't look very good, obviously. Rhydon takes us down with a stomp. At 10 now. That paralyze is gonna kick me in the butt. Now we're at 11. Drill Peck is doing pretty decent damage to the Rhyhorn, which means it'll do okay-ish damage to the Rhydon. And unfortunately, that's really the only hiccup. It's kind of crazy. You would think that Zapdos would have a lot more trouble with a ground type gym, but it really is only Rhydon. Like Rhyhorn, yeah, he can take a hit, but he's not really doing anything. He's got, you know, Fury Attack's not really doing much. Dugtrio's super weak defensively, so he's not doing much either. And then Nidoqueen and Nidoking both take quite a bit of damage from the Drill Peck. And it's just that Rhydon. But yeah, so level 48, we get through Giovanni, which is pretty good. Would have expected maybe a little bit more of a struggle from Zapdos's only counter. It's technically Rock is also super effective, but Rock type Pokemon, just as long as they're not ground type, Rock type Pokemon can be hit with Thunderbolt. So, and they're usually not super specially equipped. But yeah, so made it to the Elite Four. Record time. We're kicking butt. Level 50. Just keep in mind, Mewtwo beat the Elite Four. Obviously got all the way through the Elite Four at level 51. So I was astounded. Level 51 and I'm through Lorelei. Lorelei was trivial. It's a piece of cake. Not even slightly a problem. I didn't really know what to think about Bruno. So obviously Bruno's got the 2 Onyx, and they do have rock type moves. So yeah, you see the rock throw, but rock throw doesn't have a very high accuracy. Tends to miss quite a bit. And then his fighting Pokemon just obviously not going to stand up against a Drill Peck. But I mean, even the rock throw didn't do a whole lot. Barely did any damage. And then it's stuck in using Rage now, so and Rage is such a bad move. I don't know if that crit would have mattered. I doubt that it would have mattered. Probably still would have one-hit KO'd him. Even if it didn't, his biggest move, most damaging move would be Submission, most likely. And it's not going to do much to a flying type Pokemon. But then Agatha, I was curious, I guess, to see how Agatha was. She's got a lot of, wonky stuff. She's got the toxic poison, she's got confusion, she's got all that stuff, but in the end, she just gets rolled like the rest of them. And so we move on to Lance. Gonna get right up to him before I save, just to be sure. So yeah, level 52. And it's pretty crazy. And so this is where I gave Zapdos a lot of slack. And maybe some people might think this was a bit like wrong of me to give Zapdos this much slack. But I have my reasons. First off, obviously I was using Thunderbolt that whole time. I just wanted to see how much Thunderbolt would do. I have Thunder there. And I know in previous videos I've said I don't really like using Thunder. I don't really like using the moves that aren't 100% effective because I would much rather just hit you. But they're using Hyper Beams just over and over and over again. And obviously Hyper Beam is a very strong move. So I was getting all these Hyper Beams, I was getting all these huge hits, and I'm trying to just check, I get the slam, I get the miss, I get a Hyper Beam, and that ends that. So I still haven't used a rare candy on Lance, I'm just still at 52. I just level up 53 first Pokemon every time. The Dragonairs really don't do that much Hyper Beam wise. Obviously they're only like a couple levels higher than me, but like the Aerodactyl, I mean, he's 7 levels higher than me. He's gonna outspeed me. And then Aerodactyl is a very strong Pokemon. Probably gonna tackle the fossils after I do the legendary birds, so we'll see just how strong Aerodactyl is. But he's a powerhouse. He's super fast. I think he's the fastest Pokemon in the game. If he may be like he's either the fastest or like the second fastest. But yeah, just a lot of like Thunder Mist coupled with Hyper Beam after Hyper Beam just made me feel like it was kind of unfairly weighted against Zapdos here. I get the Paralyze, uses Barrier, like that's all I needed. All I needed was him to not use Hyper Beam one time, and Zapdos wipes the floor with him. If I'm doing over half damage to the Dragonite that is 10, 12 levels higher than me, like that tells me that Zapdos isn't the problem there, you know? That's how I see it, at least. Zapdos is not the issue. And then this fight even further solidifies that. As soon as I get through Lance, I'm already 2 Pokemon down, and we just started this fight. Rhydon has Horn Drill. That's all he's got, and Horn Drill's not going to hit me. Gyarados, piece of cake. Goodbye. Get out of here. Arcanine, what is he going to do? He could have Fire Blasted me, I guess. There's nothing I can do about that. You know, that's just the RNG at the end of the day. And then Drill Peck to a Mega Drain. His strongest move would have been a Solar Beam there, but that's a 2-turn move. So even if he'd used the Solar Beam, still would have wiped him, because 2-hit KO on the Venusaur. And yeah, Zapdos is done. Like, just like that. At level 55. I honestly didn't think I would see a sub 60 Pokemon other than Mewtwo. And the 255. 255 for the time. 55 level 55. And 12 rare candies. Just crazy. Crazy. Rare candies, Venusaur and Blastoise, they had to use rare candies at different spots. I think their hang up was Lorelei. Zapdos's hang up was just Giovanni and Brock at the very beginning, which caused him to use candies. And that's really his only bad stat. And even that's not that bad. He's at 4 levels higher than Mewtwo and only 16 minutes slower than Mewtwo. So I was blown away, to be 100% honest. I did not expect Zapdos to do that good. And I just, as I was playing it, I was just like, holy crap, this thing, he just kept going and he didn't stop. So for that, he gets 2nd place, which is crazy. I knew something would eventually dethrone Mew. We've seen other Pokemon get close to the time and get the same level or less rare candies. Obviously Venusaur, Blastoise, less rare candies than Mew, but I wasn't really expecting the level. I was thinking that at least we were gonna have to be level 60 with any other Pokemon. And Zapdos said, hold my Thunderstone. And he proved me wrong. So he gets put in my version of the S tier, the purple tier with Mewtwo. So in the next video, probably do Moltres and then Articuno. We'll see how they stack up. Spoiler alert, Moltres nowhere near as good as Zapdos. Obviously it's a fire type, and the Charizard law applies in Gen 1. Fire types just don't do very well. So yeah, we'll see exactly how good or bad Moltres does in the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys were surprised. Leave a comment, let me know. Did you know Zapdos was going to be this good? Were you surprised as I was? Let me know. And then, you know, all the other YouTube stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great day.